meantime, we're covering another story in Arizona. Tammi Smith is on trial. It's another case involving a missing child. This one is baby Gabriel Johnson, a little boy who's been missing for over 2 years now. Tammi Smith is on trial, accused of custodial interference and forging some documents. Tammi Smith having a breakdown in the courtroom today when one of her friends, or perhaps former friend, Dwane Ayala, came into the courtroom and took the stand. Beth Karras and DwaneCates join me from Phoenix, Arizona. Beth Karras, in session correspondent on True TV. Beth, explain to us and describe for us what happened to Tammi Smith today inside that courtroom.
Well, it was out of the presence of the jury when the prosecution was talking about what they expected Dwane Ayala to say. This is before she took the stand. And the judge was limiting a little bit of what Ayala could say. She could not talk about Tammi Smith discussing having a surrogate inseminated in her home or office. He said that was just going a little too far. But discussions about wanting a surrogate to be inseminated to carry a baby for her definitely could come out, and the jurors heard about that. Well, this discussion out of the presence of the jury caused Tammi Smith to get emotional. And she had to go outside and compose herself for quite a few minutes before the jury was brought in. She did stay composed pretty much. She wiped her eyes a few times during the testimony of Dwane Ayala. And I have to tell you, Vinny, this was the witness, the 15th witness in the case, who really started to put the story together for the jury. Jurors were engaged. They were taking notes. They didn't have any questions for her at the end. But the story now, from the prosecutor's perspective, is starting to make sense. Because this is Tammi Smith talking to her best friend at the time, saying, Logan McCreary doesn't want to give up rights. I'm going to help Elizabeth find a way out of this situation. So it looks like she's helping her to leave the state. She's encouraging her to add different names on the paternity document to slow the process down, move her to Tennessee so that Logan McCreary wouldn't be able to travel easily and would eventually give up fighting for his son. And then she, Tammi Smith, could have him.
Let me tell you, there were some jaw-dropping moments during this testimony. And here's Dwane Ayala again. This is the defendant, Tammi Smith's former friend, talking about a very unusual request from Tammi Smith.
Tammi Smith, thought that he had nice skin coloring and wanted his sperm to use as a surrogate, for a surrogate.
What specifically did she say to you about using his sperm?
She said, wouldn't it be nice if we had inseminated Sam's sperm into a surrogate, and if the surrogate wound up having twins, we could each have one.
And what was your reaction to that?
I was just like, what? And I just I laughed. I was just like, oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe kind of what I was hearing.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. DwaneCates is also with us, criminal defense attorney. Dwane, this testimony does a couple of things. You know, what Beth described is, I think, very, very damaging to these charges. But what this testimony did for me, it told us about the mindset of Tammi Smith, someone who is desperately crazy, you know, with the notion of having another baby, that you're going to ask your best friend for her husband's semen.
You know, it's no secret, and it's been no secret throughout this whole trial, that Tammi Smith really wanted to have another baby. And this just confirms that. You know, and there is a lot of evidence coming out about what her mindset is, that, you know, and how desperate she may
Dwane,
appear
yes, people want to have babies, but do you go to your best friend who, hey, can I have it'd be great if I got your husband's semen and we inseminated somebody and then we had twins and then we split up the babies? This sounds insane to me.
Well, you know, each to their own, and there are surrogates all the time, and they do ask their friends to donate semen because they have the traits that they want in a baby. And surrogacy and surrogate mothers are not an uncommon thing to happen. And you can't convict Tammi Smith just simply on the fact that she desperately wants a baby. And what Beth said is, you know, that they're tying this together, but all the actions that they're tying together are before Elizabeth Johnson left. They are before Elizabeth, the court order giving Logan Smith legal rights. And the custodial interference can't happen until Logan has custodial rights, and Elizabeth Johnson leaves the state, and they get in the way of those rights. That's what custodial interference is.
Yeah, Beth, Dwane, obviously, and I disagree on how jaw-dropping this request. To me, my goodness, I couldn't imagine, and it's out of the blue where she kind of makes this request. I mean, the reaction of Deanne, her friend, was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're asking me this, right?
Well,
It's a little
the way
kooky.
it came out.
Is it kooky?
Yeah,
at a
the way it
minimum?
came
Is it
out,
kooky?
It was a little bit flip the way Deanne Ayala described Tammi Smith saying it. Wouldn't it be great? We can use your husband's semen. We can have, and if the surrogate has twins, we each get a baby. You know, so I don't know if it's the way Deanne Ayala is delivering it and making it sound, or if it really is the way Tammi Smith made it sound. We each get one. You know, we learned through Deanne Ayala that both of these women, Tammi Smith and Deanne Ayala, in their late 20s had hysterectomies. So neither one of them could bear their own children. And so they bonded early on in one of the few early doctor visits over this issue and others. And so they would talk about their husbands, their family life, their children, and Tammi Smith always talked about her desire to have a baby. And then finally gleefully called her in December, and it would have been after December 8th, saying, we've got a baby boy from a grocery store, because that's when Elizabeth Johnson signed over temporary guardianship to her, and she went to the store to buy diapers and food.
All right. Well, maybe I just, Dwane's probably right here. I just need to get out more. I got to get out of the studio more and see what's happening out there, because I just thought it was crazy. Anyhow, Dwane and Beth, thank you both so much. And we'll be speaking a lot more as this trial continues.